candidate emerges within the ADC coalition, would you step aside in the interest of unity?
No, it's not the issue of stepping aside, but would I support?
Right.
What would I say in the coalition is that we will, the first option will be to work out a consensus. If that doesn't, of course, emerge, then we go for direct president. I mean, I will support anybody who emerges.
Right. So either a consensus candidate, and that's the first option.
Yes, that's the first option as far as the party is concerned. We will aim at consensus. If we don't get it, then we go for elections.
Right. That sounds like something that will be terribly disputatious.
I don't expect we will get to that level because we are dealing with really mature politicians and experienced politicians as well.
But you're also dealing with people with huge political ambitions.
Ambition, well, that's a different thing altogether. But we have all agreed that this is the way to save democracy in this country.
You now, of course, share that political space with figures like Peter Obi, Rabiu Kwankwaso, Rotimi Amechi, Nasir El-Rufai, Aminu Tambuwal, and a host of others. I mean, some would say that this is not a partnership, this is a rivalry waiting to happen. Because if you ask many Nigerians, their concern is that this might collapse under the weight of competing ambitions.
Charles, clearly you can see that there is a generational progression there. So, I mean, if people of my generation don't get it, the people who may get it next may be the next generation. I mean, clearly you can see a generational structure there, and it's deliberate.
Right. If it comes down to one ticket, which ultimately it'll come down to, will you step aside for somebody like...
There is no question of stepping aside.
What I'm asking, I want to ask you a direct question now. If it comes down to that single ticket, will you step aside for Peter if he's more popular? Yes or no?
I will step aside for any winner.
Right.
Yeah.
Including Peter Obi.
Of course, if he is a contender, why not?
I mean, he was your vice presidential.
The stakes are higher because I believe that will be my last outing. And
so that's incontrovertibly
that's incontrovertible.
Fact.
That
Okay.
Is.
Right. So beyond the fact that you have said conclusively that that'll be your last outing, why should Nigerians take that gamble on you now? Why should they believe that you represent the future and not the past?
I represent both the past and the future. Simply because we have seen various levels of leadership in the country, both young and old, and we're experiencing them. And I still believe that our expectations of the young leadership is below what we thought. And we believe, I personally believe, they require experience and they require tutelage from the older generation.
Yeah, but you don't have to be in power to give them that tutelage.
Sometimes you need to be.
I mean, you could be doing it now.
Yeah, sometimes you need to be, because what I was able to learn from President Obasanjo through his experience, I couldn't have learned it outside.
Right. But critics say you represent the same political establishment Nigerians are increasingly frustrated with. I mean, why should they trust you to deliver something different?
But look at it. Look at, the political experience. It's been a mixed one. We have had so many young governors in a number of states who have failed woefully, when it comes to governance, Charles. And I believe those type of people still require tutelage, still required to learn from experience. Believe me, I don't think I could have learned, if I were a president, what I have learned, under being vice president to president, because he came with tremendous experience from a military head of state and now to a civilian president. There was a lot I learned.
Right, okay. Well, let me turn to something else, because if you were to get the ticket, you will run up against an incumbent with what some say is a formidable political machine. What is your concrete strategy to defeat President Tinubu, not just politically, but structurally?
But why would I sit down and then start discussing about my political strategy at this forum?
That's a strategy that you're going to have to employ.
For all what I know is that a coalition candidate facing Bola Tinubu is dead on arrival.
Right, but those are just, it's almost like a slogan, isn't it?
No, it's not a slogan, but it's a fact. Look at the leadership of the coalition. If each and every one of them will bring their zone, to electoral victory, where will Bola stand?
Right. Well, let me put it another way, since you don't want to share your strategy for unseating him. What is the one thing President Tinubu is doing today that you would immediately reverse if you became president?
Everything is wrong with President Tinubu.
So you'd basically sweep everything aside?
Everything is wrong with President Tinubu. Honestly, perhaps in my life, this is the worst administration I've seen in this country.
Again, as I said, that's just a broad term.
Yeah. I feel terribly disappointed.
Are there any specific things that you're disappointed with?
Well, you can say, okay, maybe we belong to the same age group. Perhaps the only experience he didn't have was he didn't have the federal experience like I had before him. But I thought he would do better than he is doing at the moment. Economically, otherwise, I feel disappointed.
Okay, well, let's take one thing that you mentioned there, which is the economy. Everyone agrees that Nigerians are facing severe economic hardship today. If you were in office tomorrow, what is the first decision you would take, let's say within 30 days, that would tangibly improve people's lives if you became president?
I believe security, law and order is basic. Whatever you want to achieve, if you don't have security, you don't have law and order, I don't think you can implement whatever policy, whether it is job creation, whether it is infrastructure development, whether it is healthcare, whatever. You must have a secure and stable country.
Well, I think most people would agree with that. The question is, how would you have a stable and secure country if you were president?
Well, to tackle the issue of law and order, the issue of security, and there are many ways you can do that. It is not a topic that, you begin to discuss at this level. Security is a very fundamental and very sensitive issue. Let me remind you, Boko Haram started in 2002 when we were in office. And the president and I met and decided that we should put it down decisively. And we did. By the time we left, there was no Boko Haram. Boko Haram resurfaced after we left. So I think not that Nigeria doesn't have the capacity to do it, but it requires a leadership.
It's not like under Buhari, for example, where you had this massive vote that was constantly going to him.
Okay, can you tell me among the current leaders in the North who has more votes than I have?
Well, it depends on who has been running. I mean, you talked about different tiers of...
I mean, you are talking of figures like Tambuwal, you are talking like figures like Kwankwaso and others, and El-Rufai, and also the emerging political, figures. None of them has got that northern bloc vote as much as I have got.
But they also, people like Kwankwaso have the northern strategic vote, don't they?
Kano.
Yes, that's strategic.
Yeah. We concede that to him.
Right.
Yeah. That's why he's a leader in the coalition.
But you don't think that the absence of such a vote would affect you fundamentally?
But, the absence of it may affect, but even his own case, you can see how Kano is now split between himself and his former governor. So there is even a split in that.
Let's turn to the issue of zoning. There is a strong argument